Hi, my name is Matt, and I work as the head of digital strategy at Online Marketing Gurus. I've been working in an agency for 10 years now, 5 of which I've spent at Online Marketing Gurus. Previous to my agency experience, I worked in-house for a number of brands, both big and small, where I focused on paid advertising efforts and helping these businesses scale from strength to strength. We have a jam-packed course that we're going to be looking at. We're going to look at how you can set up your very first Google Ads campaign. This will address things like how to navigate the Google Ads Manager, how to pick the right keywords, how to ensure you're targeting the right locations, ensuring that the mechanisms of your Google Ads project are set up for success for your business. Go through it at your own pace. There is a lot of material to cover, and if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to us. If you are completely new to running Google Ads, the easiest way to understand it is to think about how people use Google in real life. Every day, people go to Google with a problem or a need. They might be looking for a plumber, comparing insurance, or trying to buy a new pair of shoes. When they type something into Google, they are raising their hand and saying, "I need help with this right now." Paid search is simply your chance to show up at the exact moment while interest is at its peak. A good analogy is a high street. Imagine somebody walking down a busy street full of shops. Some people are just browsing, looking through windows with no real plan. Others walk in with a purpose. They already know what they want and they are ready to buy. Google search is like the second group. People are not wandering around aimlessly. They are walking straight into your store asking for something specific. Your ad is the shop sign that helps them find you. Another way to think about it is answering questions. When someone searches for running shoes for flat feet, they are asking a question. Paid search allows your business to be one of the answers. If your ad and landing page match what they are looking for, you are much more likely to win their click and ultimately their business. This is what makes paid search so powerful compared to other types of advertising. You are not interrupting someone while they scroll or watch a video. You are showing up when they are already interested. Of course, it's not just as simple as appearing and getting clicks. There are other businesses trying to do the exact same thing. Google runs an auction every single time somebody searches, and your ad competes based on factors like relevance, quality, and how much you are willing to pay. The goal is not just to show up, but to show up in the right way. That means choosing the right keywords, writing ads that match what people are searching for, and sending them to a page that delivers what they expect. If you get that right, Google Ads becomes less like advertising and more like being in the right place at the right time. That is the foundation everything else builds on. Let's get started by showing you how to create your very own Google Ad account. Okay, so the very first place that you want to go is to open up a new tab in your browser. Now, once you're in that tab, look to the top right-hand side where you can see your profile that's either logged in or not logged in. Please make sure that you're logged into your Google profile. Now, once that's all done, what you want to do is you want to navigate to the square that consists of 9 dots that reads Google Apps. Hit Google Apps and scroll down to where you can find Google Ads. Click on Google Ads. That will take a moment to load up. Now, you won't be able to see a number of Google Ad accounts. Where you want to pay your attention to is a new Google Ads account down the bottom. So click New Google Ads Account. Okay, so there's a couple of steps that we're going to need to follow to set this account up. Let's start with just clicking Create Your First Campaign down the bottom. Okay, now I'm going to click Select a different option because it's giving me some prompts. But what you want to be able to focus on and what you will see is 3 options. So either to start with your business profile page, you might already have this set up, your website, your business phone number, or your app download page. To keep it simple, let's start with your website. Now, you just want to put in your URL. Okay, now, you'll be given a number of options to link accounts. You can either link a YouTube channel, a Google business profile, a phone number. In this instance, we'll just click Next, but feel free to link in a particular profile if it prompts you with an option. The next step is picking a particular goal. Now, in the very beginning of a Google Ads project, what you want to be focusing on more importantly than not is traffic. So let's go ahead and click on page views. However, you can absolutely pick phone call leads or even purchases if you're looking at e-commerce, even brand awareness if you prefer. Okay. Now, The next step is to pick a campaign type. Now, we're not going to be focusing on video or display in this instance. We're going to be setting up a very basic search or text ad campaign. So click See More, hit Search, and hit Next. Okay, so this is the section where you would start putting in some basic keywords that you'd like to target. Bear in mind, what Google is trying to do, it's actually trying to help you to create your first campaign while you're setting up your project. You do have an option in this instance to skip these particular sections and then create it from scratch once the account already exists. If you would like to continue and you have some ideas on keywords you'd like to use, absolutely start adding that in. Once you've sort of passed this section, you'll then be able to add in your billing information and your account will be set up. In this instance, I'm going to skip through these sections because we're going to be focusing on some of these as we go through the module. So we'll go leave campaign creation. Now you can see we have a billing setup section. You can go ahead and add in your details there. And once you fill out your details, you will then be welcomed to your first Google Ads Manager account. Now, before you start running ads, it helps to think of your Google Ads account like building a house. Most people get excited about the visible parts, the design, the paint, the furniture. In Google Ads terms, that is your ads, your keywords, and your budgets. But none of that matters if the foundation is weak. If the structure underneath is messy or rushed, things start to break. You spend money in the wrong places, your ads show up for irrelevant search terms, and performance becomes unpredictable. Fixing it later is always harder than getting it right at the start. A better way to think about your account is like a well-organized system. Okay, so we discussed your ad account looking like a well-organized system. And I thought what better time to explore the Google Ads Manager to sort of start familiarizing yourself with the interface. Now, outside of this, I encourage you to spend as much time as you can in this platform. You'll start finding new sort of insights and new areas of opportunity. But let me show you the basics now. So using that sort of house analogy, we mentioned things like the ad section, we mentioned the keywords. So if you sort of look to the middle of the screen, you'll find filters for your campaigns once they are running. You can filter by campaigns based on the type of campaign they are, like for example, a search campaign or a Performance Max campaign. You can also filter by campaigns that are enabled, campaigns that are paused, and even campaigns that have been completely canceled. And if you look to the sort of far right-hand side, there is a date range. Now, this is not going to become overly important for you in the very beginning. This is something that you can start to play around with as you are actually running campaigns over an extended period of time. But it is good to know that they are there. Now, if you navigate to the left-hand side, underneath the Overview tab, you'll be able to find your sort of key navigational tools. So in here, this is basically where your campaigns will live, your ads will live, your ad groups will live. And as you scroll down and you look towards audiences, keywords, and content, this is where you can actually navigate to the keywords that you're using. And again, this is just an example for now. And as you go down, you can then start looking at audiences and other things like that. So some of your more important components live here. There's also an Insights and Reports tab. Over here, you'll be able to find everything from the search terms that you're optimizing for, other things like auction insights. And if you look to the very left-hand side, there's a number of areas. So there's a billing section where you can make sure that the billing information you've put in is valid, or if you change your credit card, you want to update it. In the admin section, you can manage things like who has access to the ad account. One of my favorite parts of the interface is the tools section. So in here, there is a planning tab, and you can go into areas like your keyword planner or your performance planner. We're going to have a lesson on this in one of the following modules. And those are some of your more important areas. Now, if I show you an existing ad account, just to give you some perspective in terms of what you'll see once we've got everything set up and running, this is just showing you what we were talking about before. So if I go to the overview section, this is going to give us all of that information that is helpful to sort of see results, or a quick glance review of results, your date range. As you scroll to that left-hand side, you'll find campaigns, and this is where you can identify all the various campaigns you're running. You can also then navigate to keywords, sort through the keywords that we're running, and enable them or pause them, and also filter by enabled and paused keywords. And as you scroll down, there are all of those various areas that we discussed before. So this is just an introduction to the Ads Manager. Again, the most important thing to do is really just time spent. So ensure that you're spending a bit of time, you're having a look in the toolbar on the left-hand side and then the far left-hand side, and just become sort of familiar with the various areas that you can navigate to in and throughout the project. In the up and coming modules, we're going to look at how you can start building out a campaign yourself and a nifty sort of optimization that you can use to find the right keywords for your project. Imagine walking into a supermarket. Everything is clearly grouped. Fruit is in one section, dairy in another, and snacks somewhere else. You would not expect to find milk next to cleaning products. Your Google Ads account should work in the same way. Campaigns are your main categories. Each one should have a clear purpose. For example, one campaign might focus on a specific product range, while another targets a particular service or location. Inside those campaigns are ad groups. These are smaller groupings that keep closely related keywords and ads together. The tighter this grouping is, the easier it is to write ads that feel relevant to what someone is searching for. So now we have sort of discussed best practice in terms of how we want to keep campaigns closely related to ad groups and then keywords. So I wanted to just show you a couple of examples of how we've done that for clients. So if you look in this instance, you can see a number of campaigns. So this is under our campaign section, and you can see that this particular client has built campaigns based on specific goals or specific products and even locations in some instances. So in this instance, they have campaigns that are focused on their collection. So one campaign focused on freeze dryers, another one focused on jars, another one on canners, and another one on farm supplies. So they've created a layer of separation based on some of these particular accounts. Now, if we go into one of their more generic campaigns, I wanted to just give you some insight into the level of, I suppose, detail that we go into in terms of making sure that that campaign has a theme and we stick to that theme. So going into that search campaign, generic search campaign, we can then identify how we've broken down those ad groups based on a specific area. So here you can see we have ad groups based on mason jars, based on freeze dryers, based on a number of the brands that they sell or jar brands that they sell. Canners, we have another one that's focused on canners, but a particular brand of canners. Lids and bands, farm supplies. So what this is showing us is how you have a campaign. Underneath that campaign, you have products that are related, but have different keywords related to each specific area. So for example, if we take freeze dryers as an example, so now we're looking at it from an ad group level, and we click freeze dryers, it will then open up the keywords that are associated to that ad group. So campaign is your overarching campaign. Underneath that, you have ad groups, and then underneath specific ad groups, you have keywords related to that ad group. So in this instance, freeze dryers. Now, if that particular example didn't sort of sit well with you, I will show you another particular example that we have here. So this is for a client that does competitions, travel sort of giveaways. And to just share perspective in terms of campaigns and how they've set them up, they have one campaign focused on brand. They have another campaign that is focused on generic keywords. So branded keywords would be the business name. Generic would be target keywords like travel giveaways or travel competitions. We'll get to that in a second. And then they have another campaign, which is a Performance Max campaign, which we haven't discussed in detail just yet. But that one's focused on their hero giveaways, so some of their more important giveaways. Now, to break it down, if we go into their generic search campaign and we click on that, it's going to open up their ad groups, again, closely related to that campaign. And here is the separation. So we have ad groups focused on holiday giveaways, win a trip, win a vacation, travel competitions, contestants, sweepstakes, you name it. And then to show you the level of organization that we've put into this, if you click into an ad group, like win a vacation, it is then going to show you specific keywords focused on that ad group. So in this instance, win a vacation contest, win a holiday, and win a holiday Australia. So this just gives you a little bit of insight into the organization that goes into building a campaign, an ad group, and then keywords. Next up, we're going to be talking about how you can actually look at keyword research and how you can get started with keyword research. We'll also look at a couple of other areas like ads and how to navigate to these particular areas. Keywords are the triggers. They decide when your ads show. If your ads are too broad or poorly grouped, your ads will start appearing for the wrong searches. That is where wasted spend comes from. Then you have your ads themselves. This is your message to the user. If someone searches for something specific and your ad clearly reflects that, you are much more likely to earn the click. All right, now we've looked at campaigns, we've discussed ad groups, and we've discussed the keywords that are associated to the ad groups. Now what we want to show you is how absolutely that organization from the very beginning of building that campaign is critical, but we also now need to ensure that the keywords we've optimized behind these ad groups, and then therefore the ad that is written according to that, are all very, very relevant. And to show you an example of that, what we can do is click into one of these ad groups. So in this instance, we'll use freeze dryers as an example. And here we can identify a number of the keywords that we've optimized for this specific ad group in that campaign. And you can see a range of keywords here. Now, if we navigate down to, up to ads, and we click ads, it is now going to show us the ad that has been written specifically for that keyword. Now, if you remember, the keywords we were optimizing for were things like freeze dryer supplies, commercial freeze dryers. And when we look at the ad itself, you can see that it is closely related to that specific ad group. Now, if I just click on this pencil icon, it's going to bring up the ad. And we are going to discuss the anatomy of an ad in upcoming modules, but I just wanted to share a little bit of perspective with you. So you can see that we've included the keywords that we've optimized within the ad copy. We've discussed, unique value propositions, and it's all closely related to that specific ad group that we discussed before. So I'm going to close this, and I just wanted to show you another example. So we'll navigate back to campaigns. We'll go to that search campaign we were talking about before. And in this instance, in ad groups, we'll find something different. So instead of freeze dryers, let's keep it specific. We'll go to mason jars. We'll click on that. And here you can see, as before, you can see the keywords that are related to that specific ad group of mason jars. And if we look to the top left-hand side where you can see ads, we click on that. The Google Ads Manager will remember that that's the ad group we were looking at. And now we can see the specific campaign that's focused on mason jars. So if we click there, this is going to show you how we've optimized the ad according to that specific ad group or the keywords that are within that specific ad group. Finally, there is the landing page. This is where many beginners fall short. Think of it like walking into a shop after seeing a sign for something specific, only to find it isn't there. If your landing page does not match the promise of your ad, users will leave and your results will suffer. So, landing pages. Now, we've discussed campaigns, we've discussed ad groups and how they're closely related to the campaign and then, separated by ad groups related to that theme, separated by keywords underneath those ad groups closely related to the naming convention that you have within the ad group. We've looked at keywords and we've looked at ads, all needing to be very closely associated to that ad group. But now let's look at landing pages. So what we'll do is we'll navigate into the search campaign. We'll find a particular area. Let's use freeze dryers in this instance. Click into the ad group for freeze dryers. And now what we want to do is we want to navigate towards landing pages. So in that left-hand toolbar where I've taught you that this is your main navigation, your main area that you need to become familiar with, under Insights and Reports, you can navigate to landing pages. Now, Google is very smart, or the Ads Manager is, and it will remember the searches you looked at before. So all campaigns, the search generic campaign, the freeze dryer ad group. And now we're looking at the specific landing pages that we're driving people to from those keywords. So when somebody types in a keyword related to freeze dryers, the ad that we've written that's closely associated to that particular keyword will show on Google. And if somebody clicks it, it's going to open up this particular landing page. So we're going to look at the Ozpharma Collections freeze dryer page. And if I navigate and show you this tab, this is where we are directing traffic specifically. So notice how it is there by Freeze Dryers Australia page. So very, very closely related to exactly what the keyword was. And this is the same process that you want to follow for all of your creation when it comes to ads. You want to make sure that the keywords you're optimized are very specific to the ad that you've written, and that that ad is directing people to the specific keyword they searched for, so the intent that they followed. That's very, very important to understand and to apply into your Google Ads project. Another useful analogy is a map. Your account structure is the map that guides Google. It helps the platform understand what you offer, when to show your ads, and who to show them to. If your map is clear, Google can navigate efficiently. If it is confusing, performance becomes inconsistent. A strong foundation comes down to a few key principles. Keep things tightly organized. Group similar products or services together. Make sure your keywords, ads, and landing pages all align with each other. Start simple rather than overcomplicating things. When your account is structured properly, everything else becomes easier. Optimization is clearer, data makes more sense, and scaling becomes far more predictable. Get the foundation right, and you give yourself the best chance of turning clicks into real results.